It's one of the most coveted awards in the world that honors and recognizes the success and achievements of non-resident Indians across the globe. The Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards, powered by Global Indian International School, in its 4th season, salutes the spirit of non-resident Indians from the regions of Middle East, North America, Asia Pacific and United Kingdom. This week, we discover the stories of individuals who have achieved business success and growth through their perseverance, grit, determination and hard work, and have been recognized as the Entrepreneur of the Year from their respective regions.
Welcome to the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School. And we're in conversation with the winner of the NRI Award for Entrepreneurial Excellence in the UK, co-founder of SSP Health, Dr. Sanjay Pitalia. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. Sir, you've pursued medicine and entrepreneurship in parallel, practically from the inception of your career. Has it been a bit of a balancing act?
It's always a balancing act. When you are a professional, you're doing your day-to-day job, looking after patients, but then suddenly something changes and you become a business person as well. Not by design, not by preconceived ideas, but it just develops somehow. And I've always enjoyed the business aspect of being a doctor.
Today, Pall Mall Medical is considered to be among the fastest growing private healthcare providers in the UK. What are some of the key drivers fueling this growth?
A number of things have happened. The National Health Service in UK has been having its own problems with supply and demand, which has been a big issue in the UK. That kind of opened up an opportunity to provide some private healthcare. And we were very fortunate that both myself and my wife, Shikha, we already driven to take on new challenges and opportunities when they came. So when the opportunity was there, and we created this new concept of providing private healthcare, because in UK everybody has everything free as far as healthcare goes. But there was also need for private healthcare, we believed. So we were kind of pioneering in getting that going. About 10 years ago when the concept came, it took us about 3 years to implement. And then suddenly, from starting off from a very small boutique clinic, we've now developed into a number of different sites, including a full-blown hospital with theatres and MRI, because the demand has just been increasing.
Now, your thought on India's healthcare landscape, and what are some of the existing biggest pain points and plus points?
India is a massive market for healthcare. The population is so big, the demands are so great. I think one of the challenges has been the governance aspect of the healthcare in India. And that has caused some issues in the public's mind in how do they trust, who they trust. So I think the biggest requirement now is to have good quality governance, to be able to demonstrate to the public that what they're getting is what they need and it's high quality.
From your point of view, what are some business models that India can adopt to alleviate its overburdened healthcare infrastructure?
Okay, I think the models, there are so many different models in India already. The model that we've adapted over in the UK is actually a family-run business, which means that we have control. Control is so important because unless you have control on the businesses that you're driving forward, quality suffers. And from that point of view, it's very difficult to be a very big organization, national or international, and ensure that you can maintain that control. So I think you need to keep it local, in local hands, people who are passionate, people who own the business, people who are driven by quality. Quality and quality of care, quality of services, patient experiences are so important. And those, I think, are the key issues that need to be addressed in having the right business model. But the business model can be small or it can be big, but it needs to be driven by people who really care.
Now, NRIs, by sheer nature of their experience, have a global perspective. Does that serve as an advantage when it comes to them humanizing healthcare?
I'm sure it does, because I see healthcare in India, I've seen healthcare in the UK, I've seen it in many other countries. Bringing all that together allows me to pick out the best parts from everywhere. From the Indian perspective, definitely the entrepreneurship, definitely the idea about business models. From UK, the idea of governance. American, the commerciality of the whole thing, which really lacks in UK because it's a free health service. So bringing out all the different perspectives, and there is no perfect healthcare system in the world, even now, despite all the experience that we have. But I think we managed to pick out some of the best bits from 3 countries that I've been heavily involved with.
So thank you so much for your time, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you very much.
We're in conversation with the winner of the NRI Award for Excellence in the Entrepreneurship category, the Managing Director and Chairman of Dana Group of Companies, Dr. Birbal Singh Dana. Sir, thank you so much for joining us today. You're a trained surgeon by profession, having served the University Hospital of Libya for over 15 years. What was your motivation to enter the oil and steel industry mid-career? And what challenges did you face in doing so?
It's not the intelligence which makes the entrepreneur, it's a courage and attitude. And I had the courage to go in the business. In 1992, successfully I moved to Dubai and I entered in business. Initially we started with the simple trading and successfully went in manufacture. Initially the Middle East is the hottest part of the world and the biggest market of the refrigeration, the so cold drinks. So I went in business of the making water coolers, ACs, chillers like that. And then successfully we entered in the metal because we buy the metal and then we entered in metal. So I started importing metal and processing many products from metal. So we went in the steel industry from the basic refrigeration industry. Successfully we entered in oil because it's the biggest market for the oil in the Middle East. So I entered in the oil business. So now we are in the petrochemicals, petroleum products and steel and refrigeration. And because Dubai successfully went a good market for the real estate also. So I acquired many properties with my reserve money and we went in real estate also. Actually we were all doctors, me, my wife, my son, my daughter. So our vision was that we will make hospital someday. So I bought plot in 1992 long back in auction and it was lying vacant. So of course it was a due for us to do something. So we made a hospital in Jaipur also. It's a very, very big hospital, very professional. My words were that it should carry my name, it should carry my ethics. Money is not my motto. And still our hospital is the best ethical practices hospital in Jaipur. Jaipur being a place for the tourism, so it's a natural choice to go in hotel industry also. So now I have a hotel also in Jaipur. So we have in India 3 businesses, 1 hospital, 1 hotel, and we have 1 industry also, steel industry in near Delhi in Bhiwadi in Rajasthan.
Now, the Dana Group of Companies has expanded not just geographically, but also with respect to product lines. Give us a glimpse of the depth and breadth of the Dana portfolio and the various industry verticals that you now touch.
We have steel, petroleum byproducts, real estate, hospitals, hotels, and of course now in my native village I want to make a small institute for the rural uplift. It will be called Dana Institute of Rural Uplift, which I am just my native place, just to help my people around my area to get some kind of better skills and from where I can even pick up good people for my businesses also. And I can train the people from that area so they can have a better livelihood in India or abroad. So that may not be a business, but that might be a sort of some to give to my native place.
Now, there have been many firsts in your career. You've entered the water cooler and heater space with no prior experience. Likewise, you launched the retail practice and healthcare practice of Dana Group of Companies without previous exposure to those industries. So what is the key to achieving success?
It's a attitude which matters and courage which matters rather than the intelligence. And of course, I capitalize the chances wherever I get. Dubai being a hotel place, there was good scope for refrigeration. And its biggest market to represent, people can afford also represent. Even the labor also have their what we call the air condition, which is luxury in India, but it's a need there. So being a good market for refrigeration and this kind of things. So I have water coolers, chillers, heaters, this kind of things. So that's a natural choice for that area. And from that we used to buy the metal. The metal we used to buy from local market, then I started importing. And of course then when I started, I put some big heavy machineries, slitting, cutting lines, and we diversify the product from there to forward. And now we are going the backward, These products which we are importing from outside, from India, China, Korea, CIS countries, now we want to make in UAE itself. We are putting one of the biggest CRM complex in Dubai itself. The costing say around maybe in Indian terms it could be 2,000 crore total project cost. Of course, it will go not in one time. Maybe 1/3 will go in this first stage and second and like that. So that it's a backward integration of my existing activities, which is now in place. And in being real estate, because we have surplus funds, so we are making some towers also in Dubai. Now one tower is in construction, 10-story. That will be for our office, our people, our staff, and part of it will be subleased to the others.
Now, taking the conversation a bit closer to home, India has essentially migrated from an agricultural-based economy to a service-driven economy. Your thoughts on where the next big opportunities lie?
I am from rural area, a farmer community, and that's why I have touched with my, as I said that I am putting a small institute in my village. It will be sort of ITI kind of source, where I can train people from my village, and part of them I recruit from my industries, and part of they can get the job somewhere else. And I have interest in the agriculture products, like Rajasthan being a hot product. So I see many times the crop comes, there is no storage facility, they damage. So I am putting cold storage and food processing industry there. Because I have around 50,000 land in Bhiwadi, so it will be cold storage and food processing industry in the agriculture belt. So that's again there I have one vision is to my business, other vision have to the rural areas need of that area, and what the surplus product which comes out there, like onions and potato and chilies, when time it comes, they come in huge crops and they are spoiled. They don't reach to the market. So I am cold storage and food processing industry in India, and already I got a land also for this thing. So that will be for supporting my rural area and agriculture industries. And of course, it's a value addition. Then the things could be exported also. I have in retail industries, so where part of the product which I can sell through my outlets. I got 4 retail outlets where I can sell, and part of it I can export to other places also, and India and outside, yes. So that's diversification again in my scope.
And in your view, how is the NRI entrepreneur uniquely positioned to achieve professional success?
We people have sort of from a common Indian background, we could make our place in world. Definitely we can do something better in India also. It's a survival fittest. We have gone out of India without a penny in pocket. We made our fortune there. We have given those countries something. Why not we can give to our country? And we have proved our acumen. Yes, we can, and we can do, and I am doing it. Yes, and now it's not initially it was need for my family. Now it's more of my passion. I don't look for my needs. It's already my needs are over. I look for what I can give to society or to the nation, and that is my motto now. I live as I cannot say I'm fully philanthropic, but of course there's some contribution to the community. Yes.
So thank you so much for your time, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you.
It's time for a short break, but up next, the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School, continues. We'll be right back. Welcome to the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School. And I'm joined by the winner of the NRI Award for Entrepreneurial Excellence in the United States, Managing Director and Founder of Avalmeen Analytical Services, Shri Thanedar. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So you grew up in a low-income family in Maharashtra,
Yes.
then came to the United States to pursue your PhD and rose to prominence as an entrepreneur in the pharmaceutical space.
Yes.
What are some of the professional and personal hurdles you encountered along the way?
Well, back in 1979 was when I first came to the United States, and I was teaching. So I was a teaching assistant, and it was very difficult for me to speak English, especially English, so that the American students I was teaching can understand. And so initially they made fun of me, but later I became, and I was recognized as the outstanding teaching assistant by the University of Akron, where I taught. Then I went on to finishing my PhD postdoc at University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and then I went on to do a chemistry job in St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, sir, you've served as CEO of Chimere Analytical Services for over a decade.
Yes.
Where you grew the company's revenues from a meager 140,000 to over 65 million. How did you originally spot this opportunity when you purchased the company back in 1990?
Well, when I was working at a company, a large company, I wasn't growing, and I was very ambitious, so I wanted to do something on my own. So I found a very little company, 3-person company, where the owner was retiring. So I bought this business for $75,000. I got a loan from the bank for $50,000, and the owner took back a note for $25,000. I had $3,000 on my credit card, which I used as a working capital. And like a typical entrepreneurial story, I began my journey in 1990. By 2008, I had over 500 employees. In 2007, I had won an Entrepreneur of the Year award from Ernst & Young. And the company kept growing, and I was at the top of my professional career in terms of growth, as I had bought several small businesses throughout the United States, in New Jersey, in Michigan, in Ohio, in Colorado, in Florida. So this big, huge pharmaceutical services company provided very useful services to small biotech companies to develop new medicine. And the company just continued to grow.
Alvamine Analytical Services,
Yes.
where you're currently at the helm,
Yes.
is considered to be an industry leader in the
Yes.
laboratory testing and analysis space, largely because of the sheer range of industries it caters to. What's been the key to achieving this scale?
We put together a service company, but going back a little bit to 2008, when Chimere had grown so high and so much, came the recession of 2008-2010, and like many companies in Michigan and all over United States, had difficulty surviving in the recession, and my company was no exception. So in 2010, I ended up losing all of my companies. As I had borrowed money from the bank, and the bank ended up taking over many of my businesses. And this was kind of a low point in my life in 2010. But like an entrepreneur, I bounced back. And so I restarted a testing lab again in Ann Arbor, Michigan in 2010. And that business grew rapidly. And that company, Avamine, grew faster than any of my previous companies. And in 2016, I won the Entrepreneur of the Year award from Ernst & Young again. And now 2017, I'm so proud to be winning the NRI award here in Mumbai.
You've reinvented yourself many times in your career, and now you're entering the American political arena. Tell us more about your race and what sort of opportunities are available to NRIs when it comes to American politics.
Well, after growing my company and creating so many jobs and so well for my family, when I won that award, I said to my wife, we have done so much for ourselves, we have done good for our family, but it's time for me to give back, because America has given me so much. Michigan has given me so much. Nowhere else in the world I could have done what I was able to do, and I want to give back, and I want to serve the public. And with that in mind, I sold a majority of my business last year so I can devote full time to public service. And in June of this year, I announced my candidacy as a Democrat for the governor of Michigan. And so now we are in the process of winning the primary. So next 13 months, I will campaign throughout the state of Michigan and have dialogue with the people of Michigan. And I want to bring my scientific background. I'm a PhD scientist, and my background as an entrepreneur to solve the various problems the state of Michigan has. And I want to improve the quality of life for the people of Michigan. Now, the NRIs have succeeded in many fields. We have the best doctors, and we have so many good business people in America. In terms of political involvement, our community has not done as much. And it is important, I feel, is not only we need to grow professionally as Indian Americans, but we need to be part of the political process. And we need to help the mainstream America with our skills and our knowledge and our unique experiences. You know, I have suffered and I've lived in poverty in India, and I have had trouble getting education, but education helped me get where I am. And my goal is to use all of my knowledge in creating jobs, in seeing the lives of poverty and how one fights through that to achieve one's goals. And I want to bring all of that to the state of Michigan.
Sir, beyond your political career and beyond your long-standing run as an entrepreneur, you're also an author.
Yes.
Your autobiographies in Marathi and English have gone on to become bestsellers. Can you share some stories of personal resilience? You know, how an entrepreneur essentially bounces back to achieve success in the long term.
So in 2005, I wrote my Marathi book, Hi Shrichi Ichha, and that book became very popular. It had about 46 reprints and has read by over 1 million people. And primarily, I wrote very transparently, very honestly my story. In 1996, my first wife passed away when my children were 4 and 8 years old. And I raised my 2 boys as a single parent, single father, while still juggling to grow a business. So I have gone through ups and downs, and whenever I have been down, I have looked at the negative events that have happened and converted into positive energy. I have never given up. I have always fought back to achieve my dreams, and I've always dreamed very high. You know, one of the things that we must do is think about and dream high and have set ourselves such high goals so that we can pursue them and succeed.
Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Pooja.
Well, that brings the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by the Global Indian International School, to a close. We'll see you next time.